I want to know what your thoughts are on American tennis. A lot of people have been saying, especially in our comment section, and people we've spoke to in tennis, saying how they feel that tennis in America at the moment is on the rise, and there's so many young people coming through. But something what me and Ben was talking about on another podcast is we was unsure, like, what is the cause behind more American tennis players coming through? Do you think it's to do with the funding in colleges now, or?
Well, that's a question we've talked about on tour a lot. Not that long ago, I talked to Jonas Bjorkman and Magnus Norman about what's going on with Swedish tennis. You know, why? You know, they seem to think it's the lack of the clubs. They used to have so many clubs and they would all compete with each other. And that broke down. And you haven't seen like this big wave of Swedish players in a long time. When if you look at the 90s, there were so many, you know. And then Australia hit the lull for a while. And then started to bounce back, but they don't have as many as the Americans. You know, in that same age group as my players, you've got Francis Tiafoe, a little older, but you know, all those other guys, Kozlov and Escobedo, and there's a bunch of young Americans. So they're doing something right. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. We actually counted of guys. Tommy Paul and I were counting once of the guys that had either been top 100 or potential top 100 in the US, and obviously it's tough to get them all there at the same time. We counted like 24 guys. Like, that's a lot of guys.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I think that, well, Australian tennis as well is coming, but it's not at the same level, I'd say, as the US youth that's coming up. But they've still been having a really good time of it as well, with the likes of Millman and with Alex de Minaur, people like that.
Of course,
such a strong.
Course. And it's a smaller country, so we're going to see less volume probably. I think the root of that question is, you know, when you see somebody break through, that's 10 years in the making, right? Maybe more, right?
Yeah.
So what did the US start doing 10, 15 years ago that changed it? So maybe they decentralized the program, allowed the coaches, allowed the players to develop through their own coaching systems, but then use the National Association to kind of help their private coaches, bring them in for camps, assist with that. And so I don't know what the key ingredient is, but that's kind of what they've tried to do. You know, they have big training centers now. They have the one in Florida where they'll bring the players in with their own private coaches and then have the coaches there help them with their development. So versus all, you know, being one centralized program. So I don't know. I think in Spain it's decentralized, but then the association helps, you know, but they're kind of seeing this kind of lull compared to what they had, right? And I definitely know that success breeds success. So these guys, they're really good friends with each other, but they also want to beat each other. So if one guy does well, you know, Francis did really well there for a while, and that, you know, one of the other guys wanted to push up there, and then they pushed up there, and then they kind of leapfrog each other. And
Tommy Paul's been probably having some of the best of it of late as well.
I mean, if you talk to all the boys, they knew that he had the talent. He was just had some injury runs there, and it was unlucky, but they all knew he would get there. It was just if once he's healthy for a long enough period of time, you'll see him come through, because he's a freak athlete. He's an amazing athlete.
If I remember correctly, Tommy Paul and Taylor Fritz, and they used to have a lot of battles like back in the juniors.
Tommy beat Taylor in the final of the French junior, and then Riley won the Wimbledon junior, and then Taylor won the US Open juniors.
Incredible.
And Francis and Kozlov, they had stopped playing juniors, and they were still eligible. So you had all those guys playing at the same time in the juniors. It was a joke tough. It was so competitive.
I think we need to like emphasize as well on this point, because it's no easy thing for a player to be able to even make it onto the professional tour. So to have that many players coming through at once, it's incredible. I don't think it's like,
I mean, that's why I think it's such a rare kind of generation that we haven't seen since the 90s. At least this many guys.
I completely agree.
From one country, you know, it's So whatever they've done, they should keep doing.